When you think of independence, you think of freedom. You think of a life where you are in control, where you make your own decisions, and where your choices define your future. But here's the truth. Too many of us, even after independence, are still shackled. Shacked by traditions, societal expectations, fears, and the one thing that no one talks about, ourselves. Let me tell you something. Independence isn't just about physical freedom. It's about the mental, emotional, and financial autonomy that comes with it. You want to talk about independence, don't you? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is not the physical independence. Oh no, that's easy. We all think we're free to do whatever we want, to go wherever we want. But there's something far deeper, something that none of us talk about. Mental independence. You see, the mental trap of dependency is what most of us are really enslaved to. The chains that hold us back are invisible to the eye. They're the thoughts that we have. They're the beliefs we've been fed since childhood. They're the limitations we've placed on ourselves because we were told to believe that we can't or that we shouldn't. And that's the reality. We've been mentally trained to be dependent on others for validation, for approval, for love, for everything. Let me give you an example. Think about the people in your life, the ones whose opinions seem to control your happiness. How many times have you compromised your true self just to please someone else? Just to keep the peace? How many times have you made decisions not because they were your own, but because someone else expected them from you? You're not living, you're surviving. And survival is not living. It's just existing. When you rely on others to define who you are, to tell you what to do and what not to do, you become a prisoner in your own life. A prisoner to someone else's version of who you should be. And guess what? You will never be free until you break out of that mental cage. Have you ever noticed how, as children, we're constantly looking for someone to validate our actions? Whether it's a parent, a teacher, or a friend, we're taught to seek approval before we act. And somewhere along the way, this dependency on others to feel good about ourselves sticks. You grow up, but that dependency doesn't just disappear. You start looking for approval from your friends, your colleagues, and your social circle. You let their words dictate your mood, your decisions, your self-worth. You live for the likes on your social media posts, for the compliments from your friends, for the praise of your boss. But here's the truth no one wants to tell you. If you're waiting for someone to validate your worth, you're never going to be free. Let's take a real example. How many women, my sisters, have stayed in unhealthy relationships simply because they were afraid of what others would think? Afraid that if they broke up with that guy, people would judge them. Afraid that if they stood up for themselves, they would be labeled as too much or too strong. So what do? They continue living in a toxic environment, letting the emotional abuse control them, all for the sake of what others might say. They become mentally dependent on others' approval to make decisions about their own happiness. But I'm here to tell you, it's time to stop that. Your worth is not defined by who you are with or by the opinions of people who don't even understand the true essence of your being. Here's the thing. That need for approval is what's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you small, limiting your growth, keeping you in a box that's far too tight for the person you are meant to be. It's time to realize that your happiness, your success, your decisions, they don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to look for someone else's approval to decide who you are or what you want in life. You are enough, just as you are. Your potential is limitless, but only if you break free from the mental trap of dependency. Let's go even deeper. Have you ever held yourself back because you didn't believe you were capable enough? The truth is, most of the time, we don't believe in ourselves because we've been taught that we need someone else to believe in us first. You think you need someone's stamp of approval to go after your dreams, to take risks, to be bold. But let me tell you something. The only approval you need is your own. The only validation you need is the belief that you are capable of more than you could ever imagine. The day you stop asking others to tell you what you can do is the day you break free from that mental trap. There's a story of a woman I know. Let's call her Ria. Ria was always seen as the good girl, the one who never spoke out, never challenged the norms, never questioned the expectations. She would stay quiet even when she knew something wasn't right. And why? Because she was dependent on others' approval. She was afraid that if she spoke her mind, she would lose her friends. She feared being labeled as difficult, as ungrateful. She stayed silent for years. But one day, something in her snapped. She realized that she had been living her life for others, but it wasn't her life. It was theirs. So she made a choice. She chose to speak her truth, regardless of what anyone thought. It was the most freeing decision she had ever made. Ria learned that the mental trap was never about what others thought. It was about what she thought about herself. And that's what I'm telling you now. You've been allowing yourself to stay stuck, allowing yourself to believe you can't do it, because you've been waiting for someone else to tell you that you can. And while you wait, time passes you by. While you wait, life moves on without you. But if you want to break free, if you want true independence, you must first liberate yourself from this mental prison. The shackles that hold you down are the thoughts that tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you need someone to hold your hand through life. You don't need anyone's permission. The only permission you need is your own. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. But that can't be the reason you stay small. It's not about being loved by the world. It's about loving yourself enough to stand tall, to speak your truth, to make choices that align with who you are. So today, make a decision. Break free from the mental dependency. Stop waiting for others to tell you what you can do. Trust yourself. Believe in your worth. You are not dependent on anyone else's validation. You were born to be free. We've all been there. Those moments when your heart feels like it's in 1,000 pieces. When someone you love lets you down, when a friendship crumbles, when the world feels too heavy to carry. And in those moments, many of us turn to others for solace, for comfort, for a sense of emotional security. But I have a truth for you today that will shake you to your core. Emotional independence is not about relying on others to fix you. It's about finding peace within yourself, regardless of the chaos around you. Let me tell you something. Emotions are powerful, and they can either be your greatest strength or your greatest weakness. Too many of us let our emotions control us, define us, shape our decisions. But here's the thing. Emotions are fleeting. They come and go like waves in the ocean. If you allow yourself to be tossed around by every emotion, you'll never know the stillness that comes with true independence. Emotional independence is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about acknowledging them, feeling them, but never letting them take the wheel of your life. You are the driver. And the moment you take control of your emotions, you take control of your life. Think about this for a second. How many times have you let someone's words or actions dictate how you feel about yourself? You get a text that makes your heart race, a comment that makes you question your worth, or a rejection that makes you feel like you're not enough. And in those moments, you feel powerless, like your happiness depends on the approval of others. But guess what? That's not emotional independence, that's emotional slavery. You're handing over the keys to your happiness to someone else. You're saying, I'll be happy when you tell me I'm worthy. I'll be okay when you love me the way I want. But let me ask you, why should anyone have that kind of power over you? Let's take a real life example. Imagine a woman named Priya. She's in a relationship, and like so many of us, she has given everything to it. She gives her time, her energy, her love, and yet there's always something missing. Her partner doesn't understand her the way she wants, doesn't give her the attention she craves, and her self-worth is constantly tied to how he makes her feel. Every fight, every cold shoulder, every time he doesn't show up the way she wants, she feels broken. She's emotionally dependent on him to feel whole. But let me tell you something. This is not love. This is not emotional freedom. This is a trap. The truth is, no one can complete you. No one can make you feel whole. No one can heal your wounds but you. And when you realize that, when you stop relying on someone else to validate your worth, you unlock a power that no one can ever take away from you. You learn to stand tall on your own, to be happy on your own, to find peace in your own company. You no longer let the actions or inactions of others control your inner peace. You take full responsibility for your own happiness. Let's dig deeper. Think about your friendships. How many times have you stayed in a friendship that drained you, that made you feel unappreciated, just because you didn't want to be alone, or because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings? Emotional dependence can manifest in relationships like this too. You're afraid to speak your truth because you're worried about losing the person. You're afraid to set boundaries because you don't want to upset anyone. But let me tell you, if someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries. They will respect your needs. They will respect your emotional space. If they don't, it's time to walk away. I know it's hard. It's hard to walk away from someone you love or care about, especially when you've been emotionally dependent on them for so long. But you cannot give someone else the power to determine your happiness. You must find your worth within yourself. Imagine how powerful you would feel if, instead of needing someone to lift you up, you were able to lift yourself up. Imagine being able to say, I don't need anyone to complete me. I am enough just as I am. Here's another example. Think about a person who is constantly seeking approval from others. She constantly asks, do I look okay? Do you think I did a good job? Do you like me? And why does she ask? Because she needs that validation to feel good about herself. But let me tell you something. Validation is a fleeting feeling. It comes and goes. You can't build your life on something that's temporary. Emotional independence means you stand firm in your own truth, regardless of whether or not others acknowledge it. When you learn to validate yourself, to trust your own choices, to believe in your own worth, that's when you unlock the freedom to be truly yourself. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a woman who walks into a room and doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. She doesn't need to impress anyone. She doesn't need to seek anyone's approval. She walks with her head held high because she knows that she is enough. Her worth doesn't depend on anyone's perception of her. And when she speaks her truth unapologetically because she has nothing to prove. She is emotionally independent. She has learned to be her own source of validation, her own source of peace. And no one can take that from her. Emotional independence is not a destination. It's a journey. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never feeling hurt or never needing anyone. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, no matter how others treat you, you are enough. You don't need anyone to complete you. You are already complete, just as you are. And the moment you realize that, your entire world will shift. You will walk taller, you will love deeper, you will live freer, because you will no longer be a slave to the emotional whims of others. You will no longer seek validation from the outside world. You will know without a shadow of a doubt that your peace, your happiness, your worth, they come from within. And no one can ever take that away from you. Imagine waking up every single day with a sense of control, a sense of power, where the weight of financial stress doesn't suffocate you. Picture a life where you are no longer tied down by debts, by bills, by the endless cycle of paycheck to paycheck living. Imagine being able to make decisions based on what you truly want, not on what you have to do just to survive. That, my friends, is the power of financial freedom. And let me tell you something. Once you experience it, once you unlock the chains that hold you back financially, you will see your entire world shift. Financial freedom is not just about money. It's not just about having a luxurious lifestyle or buying everything your heart desires. No, it's so much more profound than that. Financial freedom is the key to autonomy. the key to owning your life. It's about breaking free from the dependency that holds you hostage to a paycheck, to a boss, to the constant worry of, will I have enough to get through the month? And believe me, the moment you feel the grip of financial freedom, you will realize that the choices you make in life are no longer dictated by fear. Let me take you into the world of a woman I know. Let's call her Neha. Neha, like so many of us, lived in a constant state of anxiety, a state where every bill felt like a mountain to climb. She worked hard every day, but it seemed like no matter how much she worked, the money never seemed to stretch far enough. She was dependent on her job, on her salary, and every decision she made was influenced by her financial situation. Do I take that vacation I've dreamed of, or do I save the money in case something unexpected happens? Do I buy the dress I want, or do I put it off because I'm not sure if I'll be able to cover my rent next month? This constant state of worry, this constant battle for survival drains you. It steals your peace, your happiness, and your ability to make choices based on what you truly want. But one day, Neha made a decision. She knew she couldn't keep living this way. She couldn't keep letting money control her life, dictate her every move. So, she took the first step. She educated herself. She started learning about financial independence, about investing, about budgeting, about creating streams of income that didn't rely on just one source. And slowly, as she began to make smarter financial decisions, she saw her life change. The debt started to shrink. The bills no longer felt like a burden. And most importantly, she started to make decisions that were her own. Neha was no longer working for survival. She was working for the life she truly wanted. But here's the catch. Financial freedom doesn't come from simply earning more money. It's about how you manage that money, how you make it work for you. You can earn thousands of dollars, but if you're spending it all, if you're not investing in your future, if you're not saving and creating multiple sources of income, then you're still enslaved to the financial system. The first thing you need to understand is this. Your money has to work for you, not the other way around. I want you to think about this for a second. How many times have you felt trapped by your financial situation? Maybe you felt stuck in a job you hate, but you feel like you have no other choice because you need the paycheck. Maybe you've stayed in a relationship that no longer serves you, but you can't leave because you're dependent on your partner financially. These situations are the chains that bind you. But the moment you take control of your finances, the moment you make them work for you, those chains start to loosen. You gain the freedom to make decisions based on what's right for you, not on what's financially necessary for survival. Let's break it down a little more. Imagine you're living paycheck to paycheck. Every month is a struggle. Every decision revolves around how much money you have in your bank account. You can't plan for the future. You can't dream big because you're too focused on surviving the present. But what if, instead of living in that state of constant stress, you had an emergency fund, you had investments that provided you passive income, you had control over your finances? Suddenly, you could breathe. You could plan for the future. You could think beyond survival and start thinking about what truly lights you up, what truly excites you. You could make decisions that align with your vision for your life. Now let's talk about the reality of this journey. It's not easy, it's not instant, it requires discipline, sacrifice, and a willingness to educate yourself. You have to stop thinking about money in the traditional way where you exchange time for money. You have to learn how to build wealth, how to invest, how to save and live below your means. I know it's hard. I know the world we live in encourages instant gratification, encourages spending without thinking about the long-term consequence. But let me ask you this. Do you want to be free, or do you want to stay trapped in a cycle of dependency? Look at those people who have broken free from the chains of financial dependency. Look at those who have built businesses, who have invested wisely, who have created multiple streams of income. They are not working for survival, they are working for freedom. They are working to live life on their own terms, to create the impact they want to create in the world. And you can do the same. Think of your dreams. What would it feel like to be able to pursue them without worrying about money? What would it feel like to be able to make choices based on your passion, based on your purpose, instead of on the limitations imposed by your bank account? Financial freedom is the key that unlocks that door. And I'm here to tell you that it's not out of reach. It's possible for you. But it starts with taking control. It starts with making the decision to no longer be a slave to your finances. It starts with learning, growing, and making smarter choices. So the question is, are you ready to take control? Are you ready to stop letting money dictate your life? Are you ready to become financially free so that you can truly live the life you've always dreamed of? Because that freedom, true freedom, is worth every ounce of effort it takes to get there. And the day you realize that financial freedom is not just about money, it's about autonomy, it will change everything. Failure, we all fear it. We all try to avoid it. But the truth is, failure is not something to run from. It's not something to hide from in shame. In fact, failure is your greatest ally on the journey to success. It's the teacher you didn't know you needed, the wake-up call you never wanted, but always required. And until you understand this, until you learn to embrace failure, you will remain stuck in a cycle of fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. I know, it's tough. We live in a world that celebrates success and glamour, and we often forget to acknowledge the countless failures that lie beneath the surface. But let me remind you of something. Every single person you admire, every person you look up to, has failed. And I'm not talking about small failures that can be brushed off. I'm talking about the failures that shake you to your core. The kind of failures that make you question your worth, your ability, your very purpose. But it's in those moments of failure, those moments when you feel like you've hit rock bottom, that the real growth happens. Because growth is never linear. It's never a straight line to the top. Growth happens in the valleys, in the struggles, in the moments of discomfort that you want to avoid. Growth is the muscle that gets stronger the more you challenge it. Let's talk about someone who embodies this truth perfectly. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, the man who revolutionized technology, the man who founded Apple, was once fired from his own company. Can you imagine the pain, the humiliation, the crushing defeat of being removed from the company you built from the ground up? And yet, instead of retreating into despair, instead of walking away defeated, he embraced that failure. He used it as fuel. He went on to create Pixar, and eventually he returned to Apple, leading it to become one of the most successful companies in history. But he could only do this because he didn't let failure define him. He didn't let it break him. He used it as a stepping stone, a lesson, a way to evolve into something greater than he ever imagined. And that's what failure does. It forces you to evolve. It pushes you beyond your limits. It challenges your beliefs. It forces you to examine your strengths and weaknesses. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's in that discomfort where you'll find your true potential. Think about it for a moment. What's the alternative? If you never failed, if you never encountered any setbacks, would you ever grow? Would you ever learn? The answer is no, because growth isn't just about winning. It's about how you respond when you lose, how you rise from the ashes, how you turn a painful lesson into a powerful victory. Now think about your own life. How many times have you faced failure and thought that it was the end of the world? How many times have you faced rejection and thought, I'll never be good enough? We all do it. We all experience those moments of doubt. But those moments don't define you. They're just a temporary setback in your journey. A few months ago, a close friend of mine was laid off from her job. It was devastating for her. And for a while, she wallowed in self-pity, questioning her abilities, wondering if she was ever going to find success again. But she didn't give up. She took that failure, that rejection, and used it as an opportunity to pivot. She started her own business, something she had always dreamed of doing, but had been too afraid to pursue. And now, a year later, her business is thriving. She's not just financially stable, she's empowered. That layoff, that failure, was the best thing that ever happened to her. It was the catalyst for her transformation. And this is what I'm talking about. Failure is not the end. It's the beginning of something bigger, something better, something stronger. The truth is, every time you fail, you gain a little more wisdom, a little more clarity, a little more strength. But only if you're willing to see it that way. If you let failure crush your spirit, if you let it make you feel like you're not enough, then you miss the lesson. You miss the growth. But what if, instead of fearing failure, you learn to welcome it? What if you started seeing it as a necessary part of your journey, as an inevitable stepping stone on the path to your success? What if instead of running away from failure, you leaned into it, embraced it, and used it to propel yourself forward? That shift in perspective is what will change everything for you. That's when you'll start seeing failure as an opportunity, not an obstacle. Take a moment to reflect on the greatest failures in your life. The things that you've gone through that you thought would break you. Now look at how far you've come since then. Look at how you've grown, how you've become stronger, wiser, more resilient. That's the power of failure. It's not something to be afraid of. It's something to learn from. And once you learn to embrace it, once you learn to use it as a tool for growth, you will unlock a power inside of you that you never knew existed. Look at every failure as a lesson in disguise. When you fail, you're not losing, you're learning. You're not being rejected, you're being redirected. The world isn't against you, it's teaching you, shaping you, molding you into the person you are meant to be. So the next time you face failure, remember this. You're not broken. You're not less than. You're exactly where you need to be. Embrace the failure, learn from it, and rise higher than you ever thought possible. We live in a world obsessed with perfection. From Instagram filters to the endless images of flawless lives, we've been sold a lie that tells us that we are not enough unless we meet a certain standard. A lie that convinces us that our value is based on how perfectly we can perform, how flawlessly we can look, how seamlessly we can navigate life. But here's the harsh truth. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And the moment you break free from that myth, you will experience a freedom that will change everything. Let me tell you something personal. I used to be one of those people who lived for perfection. Everything had to be just right. The way I looked, the way I spoke, the way I performed at work. I was convinced that if I could just get it all perfect, I would finally be happy. I spent hours in front of the mirror. Hours editing every word I said, and I was always striving for that unattainable ideal of perfection. But guess what? It never came. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how many hours I put in, it was never good enough. There was always something more to do, something more to fix, and it was exhausting. And it wasn't just me. I saw it everywhere. Friends, colleagues, people I admired. They were all trapped in the same cycle of trying to achieve this impossible standard. I had a friend, Maya, who was a talented artist. She created some of the most beautiful paintings I've ever seen. But every time she finished a piece, she would look at it and say, "It's not perfect." She'd criticize herself for the smallest imperfection, even though to everyone else, it was a masterpiece. Maya could never fully appreciate her own brilliance because she was so obsessed with perfection. And let me tell you, this perfectionism didn't make her work any better. It only held her back. It made her doubt her talent. It made her second guess every decision. And it made her miserable. Maya's story is not unique. We all have our own version of perfectionism, that inner voice that tells us we are not enough unless we meet certain standards. But here's the thing. Perfection is the thief of progress. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from taking risks, from putting yourself out there, from trying new things. If you are constantly waiting for the perfect moment to start something, that moment will never come. If you are waiting until you feel perfect to take action, you will be waiting forever. Life doesn't work like that. Take a moment and think about your own life. How many times have you hesitated to start something because you weren't ready? Because you thought you needed to be perfect first? How many times have you stopped yourself from speaking your truth because you didn't think it was good enough? How many dreams have you put on hold because you thought you weren't worthy? Because you thought you weren't enough, just as you are? The truth is, the pursuit of perfection only holds you back. It keeps you from living your fullest potential. It keeps you from embracing the beautiful mess that is life. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if I'm not perfect, then what am I? I get it. Perfection can feel like a safety net. It can feel like the thing that keeps us from being judged, from making mistakes, from failing. But let me tell you this. Making mistakes, failing, and learning from it is how we grow. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be human. And being human means being imperfect. It means embracing your flaws, embracing your growth, embracing the journey, even when it's messy. Think about a baby learning to walk. Does that baby get up on the first try and walk perfectly? Of course not. The baby falls, stumbles, gets back up, and tries again. And you know what? The baby doesn't care about being perfect. The baby doesn't worry about what others will think. The baby simply focuses on learning, growing, and getting closer to their goal. And that's how we should approach life. Life is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about learning, evolving, and becoming the best version of yourself. Imperfect, messy, and beautifully human. Let me give you another example. I remember meeting a woman named Priya, a talented writer. She had been writing for years, but she kept putting off publishing her book. Why? Because she was waiting for the perfect manuscript. She spent years revising, editing, rewriting, constantly tweaking, never satisfied with her work. And in the process, she never shared her gift with the world. She was so focused on perfection that she forgot to live in the present moment and enjoy the creative process. When she finally let go of the need for everything to be perfect, she published her book. And guess what? It was a huge success. Not because it was flawless, but because it was real, raw, and authentic. It resonated with people. It made an impact. And it only happened because she stopped waiting for perfection. I know that breaking free from the perfection myth isn't easy. I know it's hard to let go of the idea that you have to be perfect, to be worthy, to be loved, to be successful. But I'm here to tell you that perfection is a prison. It limits you. It keeps you from seeing your true potential. And the moment you let go of the need for everything to be flawless, you will open up a whole new world of possibilities. So you will start living with freedom. You will start creating, speaking, and acting from a place of authenticity, not from a place of fear or self-judgment. So stop chasing perfection. Stop trying to be flawless. Stop waiting for everything to be just right. The world doesn't need perfect. It needs real. It needs you, your unique, imperfect, beautiful self. Embrace who you are. Embrace your flaws, your mistakes, and your imperfections. Because it's those very imperfections that make you who you are. And when you let go of the need for perfection, that's when you will truly begin to shine. Let me ask you something that hits deep. How often have you feared being alone? How many of us at some point in our lives have been terrified by the idea of solitude? We live in a world where the noise is constant, where our phones are buzzing, our calendars are full, and our relationships seem to define who we are. But have you ever wondered why, when there's no one around, when the noise fades away, we start to feel uncomfortable? Why do we panic when we find ourselves alone? The truth is, we've been conditioned to believe that being alone is something to fear. We've been taught that solitude is a punishment, that it's something that happens when we're abandoned, when we're not enough, when no one wants to be with us. But I'm here to tell you something radically different. Being alone is not a curse, it's a gift. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. Solitude is where we find ourselves. It is in these quiet, solitary moments that we hear our inner voice, that we come face to face with our truths, our fears, and our deepest desires. But so many of us run from it. We distract ourselves with the noise of the world. We fill our days with tasks, people, events, because we fear that when the world falls silent, we might hear something we don't want to face. The fear of being alone often comes from the fear of confronting ourselves, the fear of having to deal with our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own pain. But here's what no one tells you. The greatest breakthroughs in life happen in those moments of stillness. You thought you were missing something? You thought you needed someone else to make you feel complete? Maybe it was in a relationship, in a friendship, or in a social situation. You felt incomplete without the validation, the connection, the reassurance. But what if I told you that in reality you've always had everything you need inside of you? What if I told you that it's only when you embrace solitude, when you step into that quiet space and sit with your own thoughts, that you begin to discover the truth of who you are? Let me tell you about Ria. Ria was always surrounded by people. She couldn't remember a time when she wasn't in a relationship, surrounded by friends or constantly busy with work. It was as if she was afraid of the silence that came with being alone. She would fill her life with distractions, always seeking external validation. But as the years went by, Ria started to feel empty. She didn't know who she was outside of her relationships or her busy schedule. One day, after a particularly draining breakup, Ria decided to take a step back. She made a decision to be alone, to give herself the time and space to heal and reflect. And in that solitude, something amazing happened. She started to rediscover herself. She learned to enjoy her own company. She started painting again, something she had loved as a child, but had abandoned because she was always busy trying to please others. She learned to trust her own instincts, to enjoy the quiet moment, and to reconnect with her passions. That's when she realized that being alone wasn't a curse. It was a chance for her to grow, to evolve, and to be truly free. You see, solitude isn't just about being physically alone. It's about being emotionally and mentally independent too. It's about having the courage to stand by yourself when the world tells you that you need someone else to complete you. It's about finding peace in your own heart, not in the approval or attention of others. The truth is, you can never truly connect with anyone else until you have first connected with yourself. And how can you do that if you're afraid of being alone? Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get there by constantly seeking the approval of others. They didn't get there by filling their lives with noise and distractions. No, they found success, peace, and clarity when they embraced their own solitude. They learned to be comfortable in their own company. They learned to face their fears, their insecurities, and their doubts, and through that process they found strength. Solitude gave them the space to reflect, to dream, and to create. It gave them the ability to connect with their inner self and understand their true desires. Without solitude, there is no self-discovery. Without self-discovery, there is no real growth. Now let me ask you this. What would happen if you stopped fearing being alone? What if you could embrace solitude, not as something to avoid, but as something to cherish? What if you could see those quiet moments as opportunities, as invitations to grow, to heal, to create, and to become the best version of yourself? The moment you stop fearing solitude is the moment you start truly living. Think about the power in those moments when you are alone. When you stop filling the silence with external noise, you begin to hear your own voice. You begin to understand your own thoughts, your own feelings. You begin to reconnect with your true desires, not the ones imposed upon you by society, by your friends, or by your family. You start to understand what you truly want, and not just what others want for you. It's in those quiet moments that you find your true purpose. It's in the moments of solitude that your soul speaks its deepest truths. And it's only when you listen to that voice, when you embrace the quiet and stillness, that you can move forward on your journey with clarity and confidence. So I challenge you, stop running from your own company. Stop fearing the silence, embrace it. Because in that silence, you will find your strength. You will find your clarity. You will find the freedom to be your authentic self. You will discover that you are enough, just as you are, without anyone else. The world may be noisy, but the answers you seek are found in the quiet, in the moments of solitude. When you learn to embrace being alone, you will find the greatest companionship of all, the companionship with yourself. And that is the key to everything. And so, as I stand before you today, let me leave you with this thought. You are not defined by the noise that surrounds you. You are not defined by the opinions of others or by the chaos that fills your days. You are defined by the quiet strength that resides within you, by the courage to stand alone and embrace the solitude, to face the world not with fear, but with the unshakable belief that you are enough. You don't need the approval of anyone to know your worth. You don't need anyone to complete you. You are complete, just as you are. The greatest power lies in the moments when we are by ourselves, when the distractions fall away and we are left with only our thoughts, our emotions, and our purpose. It is in these moments that you will hear your truest voice. It is in these moments that you will discover your greatest potential. The world will tell you that you need to be someone else to be happy, to be loved, to succeed. But I am here to tell you that the only person you ever need to be is the real you. Embrace the solitude. Embrace the silence. Because it is in the silence that your soul speaks to you, that your dreams are born, that your true self is revealed. And when you learn to be at peace with yourself, when you learn to sit with your own thoughts and emotions without fear, that's when you unlock your true power. Don't be afraid to walk alone for a while. There's a certain kind of beauty in walking your path with no one beside you but your own heart. And remember, as Steve Jobs once said, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. But how can you know what you truly love if you are constantly drowning out your inner voice? How can you hear your true calling if you are always seeking the approval of others? Eyes you. It is only in the silence that you can hear the whispers of your own soul, guiding you toward your purpose, toward your greatness. Life is not about seeking validation from others. It's about being able to validate yourself. It's about knowing that you are worthy of all that you desire, all that you dream, without anyone else telling you so. You are enough, just as you are. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, make you feel small. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to be something you're not. Your power lies in your authenticity. Your power lies in the courage to be yourself, to stand alone if necessary, to walk your path with confidence. And when life gets hard, when the world feels heavy, when you feel like you're drowning in uncertainty, remember this: you are never alone. You are never without the strength you need. The strength is inside of you. The power is inside of you. You are the one who gets to decide your worth. You are the one who gets to decide your path. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone else to tell you you're ready. You are ready now. You always have been. So I urge you, stop fearing solitude. Stop fearing the silence. Embrace it. Because it is in that space that your true potential is unleashed. It is in that space that you will find your answers, your purpose, and your power. You are the author of your own story. Don't let anyone else write it for you. As Maya Angelou said, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Life will throw obstacles at you. You will face moments of doubt. You will face moments of fear. But remember, those moments are not the end. They are the beginning of your transformation, the beginning of your journey toward discovering the greatness that lies within you. So I leave you with this: know your worth, embrace your solitude, walk your path with confidence and grace, and never forget, you are more powerful than you know. You are beautiful just as you are. You are strong, capable, and worthy of everything you desire. The only person you ever need to prove anything to is yourself. And once you realize that, once you truly understand that, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. You are unstoppable. You are a force to be reckoned with. You are a woman of strength, of resilience, of power. And the world is waiting for you to show it. So go out there and be unapologetically you. Because the world needs your light. It needs your courage. It needs your voice. And when you step into your full power, the world won't just notice, you'll make it impossible for them to look away.